Hey pre-vets, this is Michaela, your 2024-2025 webmaster, and I'm so excited to be a host on our new interview series. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Adam Christman, who was our keynote speaker at this past year's symposium. So if you missed that, where were you at? You missed an amazing speaker. So Dr. Christman, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show. This is wonderful. And big shout out to all the pre-vet students that are out there. Yeah, so we'll talk about practicing before, but I transitioned into being the Chief Veterinary Officer for DVM 360, which is one of the nation's leading multimedia platforms for veterinarians, vet students, pre-vet students. You're all welcome to check it out for continuing education because you're going to need it for the rest of your career and your life for that matter. And so we oversee conference strategies as well as the publication, DVM 360 publication, podcasts, talk shows, webinars, all things education and information from the veterinary profession. So it's really an amazing role to be in that you get to make change happen in such a positive way for all veterinary professionals. So it's a great gig. I love it.
Yeah, so can I ask you a little bit more about what that is? I know that, it's like DVM 360 is over all of these companies. What do all of
Yeah.
these companies below do?
Yeah. So when you think of DVM 360, you think of, one, you think of we have the website, dvm360.com, completely free. And then on there, we have everything from education for, breaking news, a new product that's coming out, a new drug. And then we also have webinars that are there for continuing education. So you usually get 1 hour of credits or a half hour, depending on that. And then that's one arm. And then we have the Fetch conferences, which are 5 shows around the country. And those are in person. So they're regional shows. It's got a nice intimate vibe where we can network and make new friends. I invite many of you that are listening, reach out to me. We'd love to get you to conference. I think it's so important to learn how to network into conference early in your career. And then, yeah, we also have the podcast. And then we also have a studio at our headquarters in New Jersey where we invite veterinary professionals on. We're talking about, for example, we just did one on leptospirosis, for instance, and we're chatting about dermatology with a veterinary dermatologist. So lots of great content pieces. Yeah, so many different buckets within that umbrella of DVM 360. We really put the 360 in the DVM, is what I say.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
All right. So then I guess my first question to get, started on, if they missed your keynote speaker address, what made you decide to go to veterinary school?
Yeah. So I think like many of you out there while you're in pre-vet programs in undergrad is because you have that calling, that bug, that curiosity, that love and empathy for animals, but also the love for science and the marrying those two together for a profession that really can give a voice to the voiceless. And so I was very young when I felt like I had that calling. I want to say around 5 or 6 years of age, I knew. And it was something that I never really veered off. I had a huge curiosity, when I had a family dog named Archie growing up, just one dog is all it really took, looking at his anatomy and his ears, flipping the lip, and just doing things more interested than just a typical pet owner would. And so I ended up going to the library and getting books of dog breeds and just like being very curious about that. And then a fun fact, when I was in 5th grade, this is before the internet, so yes, I'm old, but that's okay. But I would put index cards in mailboxes of our neighbors of that had dogs, and I was like, I'm going to be a dog walker. Like I would like to start a business just to understand like their behaviors. So I had 4 dogs that reached out, which is awesome. And after school, I would walk them, and then I would bring them into the backyard. They would all get along, and my parents would be with me, and they would see like we would appreciate tail wagging and wiggle butts, and just to see like what fear might look like, and all those different things. So I learned that early, and then I always said that I wanted to go to the veterinary hospital with my parents when we had Archie. And when I was young, I said to the owner of the practice, I said, I'd love to, shadow you at some point. He's like, when you're old enough, come visit me. So when I was in 8th grade, I said, am I old enough now? I want to do it. I want to do it. And he said, yeah, sure. Come on back. And, I just would hang out on Saturdays and just observe and take it all in. And then I became a veterinary technician and also a CSR receptionist, answering phone calls, like just really getting into it. And cut to high school, undergrad, I still stayed with that And this is just so fun is that my whole story really does go like a whole 360 where I went to vet school, did a 1 year internship type thing in exotics, and then came right back to the practice that I was a kid at. So it was really cool.
Yeah, so tell me more about that. I know that you are a general practitioner in your hometown.
Yeah.
What made you choose small animal? What made you choose to stay in that hometown?
Yeah. So small animal medicine, it was something that I always was interested in. But then when I was at Rutgers, I did a semester abroad in Puerto Rico, and I was working on a dairy farm too, because it's great to, you've got to have all that experience, large and small animal. So I was generally curious. I was like, I don't know. I think small animal is going to be my vibe, because I just love like the dogs and cats and all the exotics and stuff. So, but those things helped propel me into veterinary school. So I always want to preface that, like, don't ever get tunnel vision. Like, even though maybe you want to be a small animal, you have to be open and curious for all the species because you're going to go through them when you go through vet school. But then when I came back to my hometown in New Jersey, I was like, this is cool. So here I am with my high school classmates, my former teachers, like those that I just know locally from the community. And it was such a vibe. And what's so cool about that is the fact that they're not just clients. It's a relationship. You're part of their family. No matter what you do, you already have, as a veterinarian, I would say you're like a pediatrician. But when it's your hometown, it's a little extra sweet, but also a little on the needier side because, like, I'm just going to go see Adam and just come on down. And then they would, if I was busy, they would literally call my parents up and they're like, oh, my dog has like an ear infection. And my mom's like, just go in there, tell him mama sent you. And so I would have a waiting room full of like, oh, Adam's mom sent me in, and I was like, Ma,
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Being from a small town, wanting to go
right?
back to that. I think that a lot of people are inspired by people and not necessarily even the animals. I think that a lot of people relate to the story, you have that dog, you have that cat growing up. But I think
Yes,
even more people can relate to, in vet school applications, you write about that one defining moment. And I think for people, that defining moment is actually a person.
yes.
A lot of people say, I'm going into vet med because I don't like people. I don't know if that's necessarily the motivation there. I think the people that love people, that want to help people, are the best veterinarians.
They are. Thank you for bringing that up. I think, what you're saying there, McKaylin, is spot on. Do not put that on any application. In fact, whenever I see somebody that wants to hire and they'll say that in an interview, I look the other way. I really do, because this is 100% people driven. We are pet parents just like them. We have to happen to have a little extra information. And I love and enjoy, and you have to as well, those of you listening, the human animal bond. You have to love how to lead with emotional intelligence and show compassion, empathy, and just be a person first before a doctor. People will pick that up. If you come across too doctory, they're going to walk right out the door. If you sit with them, you get on the floor with the dog, you have a normal conversation with them, it goes a long way. When you show your authentic self in those exam rooms or wherever you're going to be, you will have greater compliance and adherence to any of those recommendations because you're just saying, hey, if this is my dog, I definitely would do monthly heartworm prevention. You got to do it because I'd be worried if I miss a dose. So, and I don't want that to happen for your fur baby. So, yeah, thank you for bringing that up because communication, and you're going to learn that a lot as you go through your program about bedside manner. But yeah, you got to be a people person.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect segue. The authentic self. I was going to ask you, what is your experience as an LGBTQ plus individual in the field? I see a lot of people in our Facebook group talk about, will I be welcome here? Will I be welcome at this vet school? What do you think about this? They're concerned about the acceptance of the vet med community. What advice would you give?
Yeah. Oh, thank you for talking about this because yeah, it's not easy. I know that it has come a long way, which is amazing, but people still struggle. People still struggle. They struggle with their race, they struggle with their ethnicity and their sexual orientation. And so I never assume that like, oh yeah, come on out. It's amazing out here. Like, no, it's tough, let alone in the workforce and let alone dealing with like a very emotionally driven profession where highs and lows are throughout the day. You want to make sure that you feel safe, you have that workplace safety, that emotional safety net. And it was tough for me. I'll share one example. I'll never forget when I first came out of vet school. I had a woman, and it was a dachshund owner too. And she said to me, I refuse to see Dr. Christman because I heard that he's gay. And she said it so loud in the reception area. and it broke me. And I said, is this what people think of me as? Meanwhile, here's this beautiful long haired dachshund that I could have given the best care to. She decided to leave the practice because I was gay. And I mean, let alone like the whole practice, you can hear a pin drop from everyone that was just shocked. But let's face it, there are going to be people that are going to be like that. And, you're not going to be for everyone, but you're going to be for most people because you're going to stay true to your authentic self, which is so important. And I really encourage you to look for places that have either like the pride flag or really show DEI training, which is so important nowadays for the staff and leadership. And if it doesn't align with you, if it does not align with your core values on who you are, you friggin' bounce. You leave that place. It's part of your interview when you're looking for a job too. You ask those questions. I got to give a shout out to one of our colleagues, Dr. Nicole Bruno. She leads this great organization called Blend, Blend. I invite you all to take a look at that because there's a lot of practices that go through this training for DEI and inclusivity and what it feels like to be working in a safe space and looking at places that have or name tags that have pronouns, which is nice too because you know that that's important to them. Or if you see a little bit of the flag, the pride flag, to me, that makes me feel like I can be myself. Even now, like when I go into stores or places of business and I see that, I'm like, oh, okay, phew. Because let's face it, it's a little hostile environment every now and then with where we're at in this country. So, but, I always say if we could learn from our animals, they don't care the color of your skin, who you love, what you do. It's that unconditional love. And that's what we're taught as students, is just to show that unconditional love.
Yeah, that's a really good point. The animals don't necessarily care, and you're going to give them
Oh,
just as good care no matter what you are, who you are. And,
right.
it's hard. It's hard being in that environment. Being in the South, I think a lot of people get concerned about the vet
Yeah.
schools down here, like Georgia and some of the other southern states. And personally, being in Auburn and working at Auburn, I see none of that. I think it's one of the most loving communities. And vet schools in general, I think it's such a diverse field and it's such like a, you know,
Yeah.
environment. It's so diverse and I just love it. I love
It
working.
is the veterinary profession. I forget the percentage, but it does have the highest LGBTQ plus healthcare professionals. Like this is like with ophthalmology, dentistry, and human medicine, which is great, which is awesome. And we still got a ways to go on the DEI completely, but it is a big one. So with that being said, you want to make sure you're in a place that you feel welcome, like you're saying at Auburn University. Huge shout out to them. I think a lot of the vet schools and undergrad schools do a phenomenal job with inclusivity. It's like you want to be able to be invited to dance at all the places that you go to, especially with where you're going to work. So, yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, me too. Okay. So, as we wrap up, do you have anything you'd like to tell the next generation of veterinarians?
Oh, I love this. So, if you guys don't know, I mean, I'm very obsessed with you all because I love passing the baton on to the future generations of vet med. I got to tell you, it is an incredible profession, my friends. Listen to me when I tell you this. It's hard, but if it was easy, everyone would be doing this. And so we need you. We need your authentic selves. I've been saying the word authenticity because I truly mean it. Don't let that imposter syndrome come and take you over just because you don't know how to do a total hip replacement. Newsflash, neither do I. I'm like, I know how to spell the word hip, so, but
Yeah.
you're going to know so many people early on. That's why the power of networking is so important to you early on. Create great friendships, stay connected on social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever that is, because you're going to have people from all over the country and the world that you can reach out to for tough questions on exams or cases that you're going to experience. But please keep that light shining. And most importantly, take care of yourself. Whatever you love to do, don't let vet med shadow everything on who you are. It's a big part of who you are, but it's not everything, So if you love reading books or if you have a great hobby that you love to do, many of you love racing horses or riding horses and being involved in the equine, because I have a lot of friends that do that and they feel like, oh, take a step back. No, don't, because that's your why. I gave that keynote presentation, keeping your eyes on the prize. And part of it is staying balanced with what you are. Certain things are going to take a little bit of a back seat. Your weekends may be sacrificed with some studying and study groups or whatnot, but the payoff is going to be huge. And but you got to make sure that you take care of your family and you stay connected. When somebody says to you, we got to get together, do me a favor, get together, schedule it. Don't just say, oh, yeah, I'll text you. Because you and I know we ain't going to do that because life gets in the way. The next text message is going to hit you. But please reach out and get together with your friends, even if it's just a Zoom call for 15, 20 minutes to check in. Nothing warms my heart more when I have my friends around the country that just says, I just felt the need that I wanted to check in and say hi to you. Doesn't that feel good when somebody says that to you? Right? Like, oh, you thought of me, right?
Yeah, of course.
Like, I know you're so busy, Michaela, but the fact that you like texted me and wanted to check in and say hi and I put a smile on your day. Do those things. They don't cost you anything but a few moments of your time, but that's how you build true relationships and good friendships. I want you to surround yourself. This is the last thing, and then I swear I'll shut up. But I want you to surround yourself with real people, people that are going to say, Adam, do not do that. Are you crazy? Because you don't want to surround yourself with yes people. We see that. We see what happens when you surround yourself with yes people. Surround yourself with real people that to say, hey, I'm thinking about taking this position at this job, or I'm thinking of applying to this vet school. Do you think it aligns with what I want to do? And some people will say no, and they're saying it because they love you and they care about you. They're not trying to be a jerk about it. They really know what's in potentially in your best interest. So, stay true to those friends and your circle there, because it's going to pay off in the long run. And always check in on your parents, please. And then I'm
Oh
done.
yeah. Yeah, I see all the pillows here in college that say call your mom. You
Yes.
know.
Yes. Call your mom, call your dad. I miss my parents very, very much, and I wish I had them with me. But I have no regrets because I always checked in with them. So, because again, life is too precious, and you just want to make sure that you're surrounded by those that you love.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Chrisman.
My
We're so
pleasure.
lucky to have vets such as yourself that make an active difference in our lives. We'd hope to see you soon. So maybe
Please
you'll be a recurring guest on our podcast if people love this. Yes. And
reach
feel
out.
free to plug some socials here. I know you're pretty active on social media.
Yeah. So yes, thank you so much for that. But yeah, on TikTok, dr.adamcrispin52 is my TikTok, Instagram, Adam_Chrisman, and then I have Facebook pages. If you just look up my website, dradamcrispin.com, all my social media stuff is in there. So I'd love to follow. It's a party over there. I'm very demure right now, is what I'm doing.
Very demure and
Very demure. I'm very mindful. We're being very cutesy.
just saw that video last time of you.
So good.
Oh my gosh. All right, y'all. That's everything from us today. Stay tuned for our next guest. She is an embedded psychologist at the Auburn University College of Veterinary Medicine. So, signing off, this is Michaelin and
Adam Christman, holla.